We're starting our first installment, the first part of our new series entitled March Mayhem. Everyone say March Mayhem. It's based off the concept of the NCAA collegiate basketball. I just wanted to say collegiate. Collegiate basketball March Madness tournament. And what we're going to do in these next 4 weeks is we're going to give you four key points on how to be a champion. Everyone say a champion. Whether that's a champion in your school, a champion in life, champion in ministry, whatever that looks like for you, we're going to give you those 4 key points in the next 4 weeks. And I want to start off tonight. I'm going to get right into it. And if this is your first time at 212, if you're a first-time friend here and you're going, where are we going to now? What does this look like? We're going to move right now into a time of message, all right? This is where we learn from the Bible. We do believe in the Holy Bible. We believe that Jesus is alive and is well. And we know that the Bible was written with truth and grace. And so, though the truth can hurt sometimes, thank the Lord for grace to where we can be able to understand it and comprehend what He has for each of us. And so before we get started, I just want to welcome all of our network campuses all over the country. I want you to give it up for our network campuses real quick. We're excited that you tuned in. Part 1 of our new series, March Mayhem. And tonight, I'm going to title my message, The Final Four. So if you're taking notes, and hopefully you are, just get your phone out, just open up the little note app, and just put that on the top, The Final Four. Everyone say The Final Four. I want to take a little poll real quick. How many of you want to do something good in your life? You want to have a good life? You're saying, yeah, I want to do some good things. Okay, we got a lot of people in here who want to do good things. The next question is, how many of you want to do some great things in life? Like you want to live a great life. Like you want great things to happen in your life. Okay, we got some readjustment of some answers here. Someone said to me, good is the enemy of great. And I've always loved that quote because it's so true, right? When we could be shooting for great, everyone say great. Come on, say great. A lot of times we fall short for good, right? And tonight I want to talk specifically on how, or in order to do something great for God, that you first have to realize you have to be anointed by God. Now, here's the deal. Anointed, you're like, anointed? What do you mean? In order for me to do something great for God, I got to be anointed by God. And you might be like, anointed, that's a really spiritual big word for me. Let me just kind of break it down for you. Anointed means to be called or to be set apart or to be empowered or to be enabled to do whatever God has set in your life. Everyone say great. Come on, everyone say great. This is what I want to do. How many of you have ever heard the phrase, he's just trying too hard? Anyone ever heard this phrase before? Maybe you've had this phrase said to you before. I was raised in the early 2000s. Come on, somebody. I graduated in 07, 007. No, that's Pink Panther. What was that? That wasn't 007, was it? It was? Thank you. Anyways, it wasn't. It's okay. You're trying too hard. Right now, I'm a person that was told this all the time. But like I said, I was raised in the early 2000s. And we had a phrase that went something like this. Man, you would try hard. You would try hard, bro. Why are you such a try hard? Anyone ever heard this before? Oh, so it's still in? Is it still in? All right, cool. I don't know. Maybe some of y'all are like, no, not at all. You would try hard. Now, for me, I'm a perfectionist. So when it came to school, I wanted to get A's. Anyone get A's in school here? I wanted to get A's. I was a perfectionist, but here's the deal. I wasn't really that smart, okay? I didn't really have the luxury of being that smart. And so I got B's, and then I got a couple C's. Some of y'all are like, oh, man, I thought you were going to say D's. You're going to make me feel better for failing this semester. No, but I would get B's and C's. And so what I realized I had to do, because when I got C's, I got in trouble. Anyone get in trouble for C's? Okay, you understand where I'm at. Like my mama would rip me a new one. All right, I'll tell you what that means later on in life, okay? And so, I'm telling you, she'd get upset, right? And so what I'd have to do is I'd have to be like a suck up to my teacher, right? I'd be like a teacher's pet. But I was every teacher's pet. You know what I mean? Like, I would show up to class early. I would leave class, I would be the last one to leave class. I'm picking up trash. I'm moving the desks around. And you know, people say, man, you such a try-hard, bro. Why are you such a try-hard, man? You're trying way too hard. And then all of a sudden, that's when your tests start getting passed out to you, right? The guy sitting next to you is like, well, man, you such a try-hard. You suck up, man. Why you got to suck up to the teachers? You trying so hard. And then all of a sudden, I'm getting my test back. It has a 97 with the smiley face. His has a 64 with the frown face. And I say, maybe you should try harder. All right? Ha! I wasn't that cool, though. It didn't really work that way. But, right, you ever been here? Like, I kind of like people who try too hard. Because it's better than people who don't try at all. Right? Like, I'd rather hang out with someone who tries too hard. I can deal with a little excitement. I can deal with a little passion in them to want to be better in a certain area. Because it's a lot better than hanging around someone who doesn't try at all. And in this series, we're going to go through the story of David. Everyone say David. Come on, everyone say David. We're going to go through the story of David in this series. And to be honest, I know most of you already know the story of David. And so tonight, I'm not going to go through it by detail. But in the next 2 or 3 weeks, we're going to get into some really good dialogue. And we're going to get very detailed within the story. But this week, we're going to try and keep it a little more general. But I'll kind of set the basis for you. There were two people who were going to war. You got the Philistines. Y'all going to be the Philistines. Y'all the enemy of God. Sorry, that's just you. You know, just say, I'm Philistines. Okay, y'all are, that's why you're the enemy, because you don't listen, all right? And this is the Israelites. This is God's people. Say, I'm the Israelites. See? God's people are obviously a lot happier at life, all right? This is what happened. All of a sudden, they kind of meet at this valley. Well, in fact, the Philistines are on a mountain, and the Israelites are on a mountain, and there's a valley in between them, right? They're kind of at a standstill. In fact, for 40 days, everyone say 40 days. For 40 days, they're at a standstill, and they're drawing lines for battle. I mean, it's getting crazy. They're yelling at each other. All of a sudden, Goliath, everyone say Goliath. He's on the Philistine side. Say, rawr. I don't know. I was going to say boo, but then you wouldn't boo yourself, you know. He's on the Philistine side, and he goes, hey, you know what? Let's not just kill everyone. Let's just say I'm going to fight in honor of the Philistines, and then why don't y'all pick one person and fight, and you have them represent the Israelites, so we don't have all of this bloodshed. Why don't y'all do that? Well, for 40 days, Goliath is literally defying the armies of God. He's like, hey, who you gonna bring over? We're ready. And we're going to get into detail in the next few weeks on how big Goliath was, how scary he was. He was the champion, all right? I mean, he is the man, right? People were scared, right? But on the Israelites, they didn't really have anyone. All of a sudden, David, everyone say David. David's chilling at the camp, and he hears Goliath running his mouth. Say, running his mouth. Goliath running his mouth. They're like, David's like, yo, y'all going to do something about that dude? Y'all got him? Y'all got him covered? What's going on? All of a sudden, Goliath's like, hey, y'all bringing anyone over? It's like the 41st day, you know, like y'all gonna do anything? And then, you know, David's like, hold up, wait a minute, shut your mouth, you about to die, here we go. He goes down to a stream, gets a couple rocks, slings it a couple times, kills him, knocks him in the head. He falls down, Goliath falls down in the middle of the valley, chops his head off. David win, Israelites are glorious and victorious, okay? That's pretty much... Yes. Philistines suck. All right. They did, not you. All right. And so when you're looking at this story, how many of you know that sometimes it takes a passionate person to push through some things, to do some great things for God? Right? When you look at David, this is what's happening to him. I got a question for you. Are you a passionate person? Now, here's the deal. You really can't be passionate about everything, right? It's kind of impossible. That would be incredible to watch. You really can't be passionate about absolutely everything. But Do you have the kind of passion that when you see something that God wants done, that you stand up and you do it? Do you have the kind of passion that when God says, hey, Jacob, I need you to do this, that you go, yes, sir, absolutely, here I go? Do you have the kind of passion that when he goes, Sierra, hey, this is what I need you to do, that you go, oh, that needs to be done, God? Absolutely. And then you do it. I'm going to give you 4 things today. Everyone say 4. I'm going to give you 4 things today, and hopefully you're passionately taking notes on your iPad or your iPhone or, your little notepad. I'm going to give you 4 things. The first one is passionate people carry small assignments with a willing spirit. Passionate people carry small assignments with a willing spirit. 1 Samuel 17 through 22. Thank you. It says this, now Jesse said to his son David, take this ephah of roasted grain and these 10 loaves of bread for your brothers and hurry to the camp. Take along these 10 cheeses. Everyone say Chuck E. Cheese. Dang, I messed that one up, sorry. To the commander of their unit. See how your brothers are and bring back some assurance from them. They are with Saul and all the men of Israel in the valley of Elah fighting against the Philistines. Early in the morning, everyone say crack of dawn. David left the flock in the care of a shepherd, loaded up and set out as Jesse had directed. He reached the camp as the army was going out to his battle positions, shouting the war cry. Next verse. Israel and the Philistines were drawing up their lines, facing each other. David left his things with the keeper of supplies, ran, everyone say run. All right. Ran to the battle lines and asked his brothers how they were. This is what you got to realize. In this story, at this moment, David really didn't know, my voice is going to crack all night, so just don't laugh. David really didn't know he was going to be fighting Goliath on this day, right? You got to realize, David's a teenager. He's 17 years old. How many 17-year-olds we got in the house? We got a lot of 17-year-olds, right? He's 17 years old. He's tending his sheep. He plays music for King Saul, plays a little harp. Anyone play the harp? No, one person, right? He's doing his thing. He's listening to his Walkman, doing his homework. He is minding his own business. And all of a sudden, Jesse, his father, is saying, hey, this is what I need you to do. Now, this is what you got to realize. David was simply following the instruction he was given by his father. That's it. Now, how many know that a lot of us are waiting for a big opportunity to show up, and that's when we go, oh, okay, now God wants to do something in my life. But when you look at David, it's the complete opposite. He is simply following an instruction his father gave him, right? And it says that he woke up early in the morning. How many know it takes a lot to get a teenager to wake up early in the morning, right? And he said that he ran to the battle lines. Everyone say run. Like when you run, you got some urgency in your heart, right? You got some urgency, right? Now David, he's carrying the bread. He's carrying the cheese. I mean, this dude's practically a pizza boy. You know what I'm talking about? He's practically a pizza delivery boy. Like, hey, here's your bread, here's your cheese. Give me some assurance that you are good. Are you fine? Do you need anything? Right? Now, at this moment, you've got to realize that David already knows he's anointed to be king. He literally knows I'm going to be future king. And you want me to take 10 loaves of bread and 10 cheeses to my brothers? Now, the Bible could have gone through and said, well, he has some attitude, he has some talk back, you know what I'm talking about? But no, it doesn't go through any of that. Now, I like to really feel like I relate to this story because my first job, I was a pizza delivery boy. Why are you laughing? I provide you dinner. Y'all better love on the pizza boys, better tip them like $20. You know what I'm saying? I remember being a pizza boy. It was my first job. Now, here's the deal. My second car was a red Audi A4. Hallelujah. Come on, somebody. Yes, I was spoiled. And so don't worry about it. Let me do me, okay? And so I got a red Audi A4, and I said, yo, Mom, guess what? I got a job. She's like, thank God. It took you long enough. I'm like, what? I'm 16. Like, that's when it's supposed to start, right? She's like, no, it's supposed to start when you're 8. I'm like, what? This ain't China. What the heck? I'm just kidding. That could be bad. That's not racist. My mom's Chinese. Just kidding. I'm going to get a letter from that one. I don't know. Now, I'm like, yo, my mom's like, well, babe, you just got a nice little car. Like, is that going to be a lot of miles on your car? And like, she's worried about the miles I'm about to put on my car. I'm worried about that darn lit up pizza topper I got to put on my red Audi that says Papa John's, and it lights up every, 10 yards you go. You look like a loser with the shirt. I'm with stupid. You know what I mean? I'm like, I hated that thing, right? And we would I would hang out with the drivers, and they hated it too. Like, y'all know what I'm talking about, the pizza topper? Yeah. Any pizza boy delivery boys in here? No? Okay, it's just me. Struggle's real. and so here's the deal. So they would be like, hey, you know what? This is what you got to do. You just go around back. You get your pizza. You go around back. You take it off. Put it in the back seat. Go deliver. Come right back in the back. Put it back on. And then you come up in the front. They'll never know. The owners they don't even care, right? But this is one of the rules. I was like, oh, yeah, shoot. I'll do that. I'm cool. Got a red Audi. You know what I mean? I can't be having no pizza topper on there looking like I'm a loser. You know what I mean? And so I was like, all right, I'll do it. About a week went by, I was like, man, this is more trouble than it's worth. I got to stop. I got to undo it, and it's magnetized. So you got to be like strong. As you can tell, I ain't that strong. And so it took me a while to get it off. And so I realized after a week, I was like, you know what? I ain't worried about this anymore. I'll just drive with a pizza topper. 3 months goes by, and the owner comes to me and says, hey, Tim, I want you to be a manager. I'm like, hold up, wait a minute, I'm gonna be rich. No, you didn't, right? Like, I'm so pumped. I got a 25-cent raise, you know what I mean? It's getting crazy, right? I'm like celebrating with cheese. That's a pastor's way of making it rain, right? I'm like, yes, money, that's great. And so like, we want you to be a manager. And I said, well, wait. I said, what about seniority? Like all these drivers have been here and like, I'm the new guy. What do you mean? Like, I'm going to be the manager? Well, and they specifically said this. They said, hey, look, you know what? When it comes to the little things, you listen. And I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, well, when it comes to the little things, you're not cutting corners or taking shortcuts. And I said, well, can you give me an example? He said, well, for example, everyone hates those pizza toppers. And they go in the back and they take off the pizza topper, they drive back, and then they come in, act like I don't see it all when my office is in the back, idiots. And I'm like, but you, on the other hand, you just, let it happen. And you know what? When I started studying for this message, I began to realize how important this concept was. Because you've got to realize if you do the little things wrong, you'll never have the chance to do the big things right. You'll never get the chance. You'll never have the big opportunities to do it right. And so the first one, you got to realize passionate people carry small assignments with a willing spirit. And this was David. All right, I'll take the cheese. All right, I'll take the bread to my brothers. I know I'm going to be future king one day, but you know what? I can carry out that small assignment. Number 2, everyone say 2. Passionate people must guard their strength or it'll become a double weakness. Passionate people must guard their strength or it'll become a double weakness. Now you can see this in David's life. When you look in Psalm 51:12, it says this: restore to me the joy of your salvation and grant me a willing spirit to sustain me. Now you've got to realize that David is at a different time of life than the battle. This is when he's actually praying to God. He's like, look, I need you to restore to me the joy of your salvation and grant me a willing spirit so it may sustain me. Now, he was praying this to Jesus right after he sinned and committed adultery with Bathsheba. Okay? He's sleeping with people that already have husbands. And so he's praying at this moment, right? Like, you got to realize that even though David had a great calling on his life, he still committed a great sin. Some of you need to hear that, because some of you think that you're disqualified because you've sinned. That you're disqualified because, well, I've done too much wrong. There's no way God has a purpose, a dream, a calling, or a destiny for me. And I'm here to let you know, looking in David's story, that's not the way it is. You all have a purpose. You all have a dream. You all have a calling that God has specifically placed inside of your spirit, inside of your soul, inside of your body, that He wants you to unlock and that He wants to reveal to you. So it doesn't matter what you've gone through, what you're doing right now, or what you're going to continue to do, right? David is passionate when he goes to battle. He's like, oh, snap. Come here, Goliath. Give me some rocks. Killed you. But at the same time, he's saying, bring it on Goliath. At nighttime, he's saying, bring it on Bathsheba. You know what I mean? Because you've got to realize there's a flip side to passion. There's a flip side to passion. There is a line between passion and obsession. When I think about this, something that's very, I'm going to be a little vulnerable tonight. I remember when I started preaching almost right over 2 years ago, and I remember writing sermons, and I remember like yelling them as I wrote them. Because I don't know if you've noticed, but I'm kind of like passionate, and I'm just like loud, and I'm very animated, right? And it's like I don't even really need a mic, but they give me one, and it's awesome. So okay, cool. You know, you'd be able to hear me from a mile away without a mic. But like I would literally be like, yeah. I'm going to yell right there just to get excited. I'm going to get people pumped up. I'm going to get people, some people will be like, man, why are you yelling at me? Why are you yelling at me? No, this is real. You know, people are like, why are you yelling at me? And you know what I always used to say? I was like, oh, no, it's just my passion. It's just my passion. I'm just excited about what God's doing. It's just my passion. And I quickly realized that people were taking it, or that I was really going a little too far past the line, that my passion was turning more into an intensity, and I wasn't really, I wasn't really yelling for people, but I was yelling at people. And I realized, you know what, I need to kind of tone it a little back because it can't be a discouraging thing. It's got to be an encouraging thing, right? It's got to be something that inspires you and that challenges you, right? And so I realized where my line was. I can't yell at. The only reason I'm getting excited and passionate is because I'm yelling for you, because I believe in you. And that is something that I had to literally kind of mold as time went on. And this is what David had to do. He's passionate. I will kill Goliath. And now I'm going to, whatever. That thing. You know what I'm talking about with Bathsheba. All right? There's a flip side to passion. Where is that line for you? Number 3 is passionate people interpret intimidation as an invitation. Passionate people interpret intimidation as an invitation. 1 Samuel 17:23-24 says this. As he was talking with them, Goliath, the Philistine champion of Gath, stepped out of his lines and shouted his usual defiance, and David heard it. Verse 24. Whenever the Israelites saw the man, whenever the Israelites saw Goliath, they all fled from him in great fear. You got to realize in this story, the thing that everyone fled from, David fled to. The thing that everyone fled from, David faced and walked up to. And you got to understand, they're hearing the same exact voice. The Israelites who are hiding behind the rocks are hearing the same voice that David is hearing as he's running to get some more rocks. They're hearing the same exact voices. They're in the same exact situation, and they're looking at the same exact threats. But this is what David does. David interprets intimidation as an invitation to do something great for God. He says, oh, you're going to intimidate me? Well, thank you for inviting God to do something in this situation. You see, when you see people do something great for God, it doesn't mean they're not hearing the shouts. They hear the shouts. They hear the same shouts that you're hearing, but they're pushing past them. They're not letting anyone holding them back. They're pushing past them. A lot of people say, well, it's so hard. Pastor, it's difficult. If it's difficult, it's worth it. Because that means there's a price to pay. And you got to look at, you got to think about this entire book of Samuel. This story is written about who? David, not his brothers. His brothers are hiding behind rocks, and David's throwing rocks. And who are we writing about? Who are we talking about right now? David. I remember my 6th grade year. I hadn't hit my growth spurt yet, 6th grade. And that's a very important part of the story. 6th grade, and 6th grade was the year, the only year, in fact, that I was bullied, like really bullied, right? I don't know if you can imagine a 6'6" guy being bullied, but it happened. And in fact, it was by a girl. And I remember her name and everything, right? Her name was Candace. Everyone say, Candace, I hate you. I'm kidding. Don't say that. Her name was Candace, and she was in 7th grade. And I remember every single day before or after school, I would have to walk home. It was about a mile away, and I'd have to walk home, 6th grade, you know. I'm knee-high. I know I'm tree-high right now, but I was knee-high back then. And I remember walking home, and it was all kinds of bullying. I mean, she'd be like, man, what's up with your big ears? Look at your elephant ears. That's why I wear beanies now, because I don't want y'all to see my ears. And I'm just kidding. And they would say, man, why are you so tall? Man, why are you dressed like that? Man, you ugly. All these kind of stuff. You know, just regular bullying kind of things. I remember she would always walk on the left side of the street, and I would always walk on the right. And I remember I'd always put my hands in my pocket, and I'd just walk forward, and I'd see her from a mile away, and I'd be like, man, dang, God, here it goes again. And I'd just walk, and she'd say things, and I'd just completely ignore it and walk right on home. This is one particular day where I was walking home, and I had enough. Anyone ever got fed up before? I got fed up. A white boy got fed up. Here we go. You know, like, it's about to go down. You know what I'm saying? And the same exact day I got fed up was the same exact day she had a posse or a crew with her. And it's the same thing starts happening. She's like, hey, what's up, big ears? You know, like, she'd say other things like cuss words, but I can't do that. And so this day, I was like, why don't you shut your mouth? And I quickly realized I probably shouldn't have said that, because it wasn't just her. It was like her whole posse. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was her whole crew, right? And immediately, she starts crossing the street. Oh, no, you didn't, white boy. What'd you say? I said, why don't you shut your mouth? She said, I thought it was going to be, like, amazing. Be like, oh, no, I wasn't ready. I'm sorry. You know, like, oh my God, white boy's crazy. Run. He's got a gun. You know what I mean? Like, I thought it was going to be awesome, and I'm going to walk on and be like, yeah. All right. You got me, right? It didn't happen like that. You're like, what'd you say, white boy? What'd you say? I remember, like, oh, my God. I'm like, why don't you shut your mouth? You shut your mouth, you know, but I'm small. I'm small at this point. And at this moment, it was no fun in games. I'm telling you, at that moment, she is in my face. She rails back and punches me straight in my elephant ear. And I remember, like, pop. I'm like, oh, snap. A girl just hit me. Oh, my God. I'm, like, looking around. Did anyone see that? I'm like, oh, my gosh. Immediately, I put my head down. I just start walking. They're, like, laughing. Whatever, boy. Walking away. Immediately, I start crying. I'm, like, crying. I'm like, you know that kind of crying where you look like you're dying and drowning? You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I remember coming in. My dad was like, what's up, son? Did you have a good day? He's like, what's going on, son? I said, Candace hit me in the ear. He's like, a girl hit you in your ear, you crying? I was like, yeah, I am. I'm sorry. I'm small. Don't hate me, Dad. He's like, but you need to stop crying. I remember like, all right, yeah, okay, whatever you say, Dad. I'm like looking at Mom, save me, I'm gonna die. And he's like, we'll take care of it tomorrow. I was like, okay. I don't know what that means, but okay. I remember walking home that night, or that day, the next day, and I kind of walked a little differently. I was walking on the right side, she was walking on the left side. She had her posse with her, and she's saying her normal spiel, and she didn't get violent this time, hallelujah. And she didn't cross the street, she stayed over there, and I remember her passing, and I remember being like, oh yeah, it's about to go down. Because what she didn't know is my dad was 100 feet around the corner. And the moment that I had passed Candace, he comes rolling around going, hey, you got something to say to my son? You better shut your mouth. You got something to say. Now, my dad's a cop. He's 6'6". He's crazy. He's huge. I'm in 6th grade. I'm like, you do whatever you want, Dad. Like, my dad, like, pulls a John Wayne on her. You know what I mean? Like I said, my dad's a cop, right? So he's got a holster right up in here. And she's like, what? And he goes, you won't say something? Say something again. I wish you would say something to my son. You better leave him alone. You'll be all right. Shut your mouth and keep walking. I'm telling you, I was in the background with my iPhone going, yeah, you weren't ready. You weren't ready. I mean, I was in it. I was like, yeah. What you gonna say now? Maybe you should try harder. Huh? You got something else to say? That's what I thought. Yeah, I mean, for the next few months, guys, I'm telling that story like it was the greatest thing in the world. But here's the crazy part, is I don't talk about when Candace hit me in the ear and I hid. And I went to my daddy. You know what part I talk about? You better see what my dad did to this girl. You know what I mean? I mean, I'm telling everyone in school, no, I'm like, yeah, you don't mess with Tim, because his daddy will whoop your butt. You know what I mean? He'll shoot you. I remember telling that story all the time. And this is what's happening in David's life. He accepts intimidation as an invitation, just like my dad did. I'm not intimidated by you, but I'll accept that as an invitation to never mess with my son again. And this is what David's doing. Oh, you're going to try and intimidate me? You are not going to defy the armies of the Lord. You ain't going to do it, homeboy. Let me tell you something. And he accepts it as an invitation for God to do something in his life. The last one, number 4, passionate people will fight to the finish in the battles that matter the most. I want you to think about this one. Passionate people will fight to the finish in the battles that matter the most. When you look at why David killed Goliath, you have to understand the motive before you can see the method. Okay, you've got to understand. This is what it says in verse 26. David asked the men standing near him, what will be done for the man who kills this Philistine and removes this disgrace from Israel? He says, who is this uncircumcised Philistine that he should defy the armies of the living God? I want to ask you something tonight. What is your motive? What are you passionate about? What stirs you up? What is it? I don't know what it is for you. What do you fight for? When people talk bad about something, you're like, no. Let me tell you my idea. Let me tell you what I believe, or let me tell you my thoughts. What are you getting passionate about? What is your motive? What stirs you up inside? What lights a fire in your heart where you go, I gotta say something. I gotta do something. I gotta stand up. A lot of people ask me this question. They'll say, Pastor, what are you passionate about? And I say this. I say, I'm passionate about this generation. I'm passionate about teenagers. I'm passionate about 212. I'm passionate about what 212 is doing in the community. I'm passionate about church. I'm passionate about our city. I believe that students can change their families. I believe that teenagers can change their city. I believe in you. I believe in you. I believe in you. If you've never been believed in, you can understand right now that you are being believed in. I'm proud of every single one of you. I'm proud of what you've done, of where you are, and what you're going to continue to do. You've got to understand this. There is more potential in this room than you know what to do with. You've got to understand, you can't hold anything back. Passion will unpack your purpose. Purpose will unpack your potential. You don't need to be afraid. You don't need to give up. You should do it. You will do it. You can do it. Don't give up. Keep going. Don't back down. It doesn't matter what happens. It doesn't matter what people say about you. You are a generation with potential, and all you need is for God to unlock it, to reveal it to you. This is what people say. They go like this. People say this. They go, man, Tim, you know what? Why are you so on fire for God? I wish I could just be on fire for God like you. I wish I could just be on fire for God like you, Pastor. And you know what happens in this generation? Too many people aren't on fire for God. They're living in everyone's smoke. And this is what I'm here to tell you. You've got to understand. You've got to find your own fire. You've got to find your own fire. What are you passionate about? What purpose do you have in your life?